Why hire a divorce lawyer? It's because you don't know what you don't know. And like a lot of people like to make a bunch of lawyer jokes and how they're all evil and a piece of crap and whatever. But here's the thing. In certain areas, we sort of know what we're talking about. And there are pieces of this, like literally we didn't know when we started either. We only know because this is what we do for our day job. Just like we don't know how to operate on little children. We don't know how to teach third grade. We don't know how to deliver for Amazon. I mean, whatever it is that you do for your job, we don't know how to do that either. You think we can just walk in and be like, I got this, no problem. I don't think so. It's the same thing with getting a divorce. You don't know what you don't know. And we just know because we've been doing it for a minute. And you're literally going to distribute and touch everything you care about in your whole life, everything you've worked so hard to get, all of your assets, all the debts, all the properties, everything about your kids. And you're gonna leave that up to like, I think we can do this good enough. It's like, hey, I think I'll go fly that plane. I don't think so. The hidden risks of a DIY divorce are inherent in what it is. Listen, you don't know what you don't know. That's the number one thing. And I'm not one of these lawyers who tries to act like what we do is rocket science. I'm always on here on the internet trying to make it as simple and easy as possible. But here's the thing. Actually getting divorced, you are going to name, tame, and distribute absolutely everything you care about in your life. Your kids, your money, your business, all your assets, all your debts. And there's some things you're not going to think about. And like, for instance, this is a perfect example in my brain of when this almost happened to some people with a bunch of money. Let's call my client Jill. Okay. And my client Jill was like, oh, married to this rich guy. And they were both rich. Like, okay, we're just going to do this ourselves, right? Like lawyers, all they do is try to drum up fees and it's not really that important. We already know what's going to happen. And here's the deal, Hannah, you just come and write the whole thing up. I'm like, okay, like I'll be happy to. I'm going to represent the spouse who doesn't have this like very fancy big job and we will write up the deal. But here's the thing. I'm going to make sure that she understands what she's doing. So they'd had a DIY divorce, DIY, yeah, I keep saying that wrong, divorce up to that point. But we sit down and that offer from the guy was so much worse for her. Like for instance, it didn't include his bonus that he'd earned in the year that we were talking about, but wouldn't be paid out until the next year. Like she was entitled to half of that bonus because it had been attributed to the work performed in the year of the divorce up till that point. And she didn't know. And we're talking about 6 figures she was gonna leave on the table. And like, look, he wasn't trying to screw her over or anything. It wasn't like that. It's just that they didn't know what they didn't know. And these are people who are sophisticated with lots of letters after their name. And it just, some of the stuff doesn't work the way that you would think it would work. So I think that's the number one part about a DIY divorce. You don't know what you don't know. A second thing to consider is the language in a divorce decree is super specific. I don't know if you've seen one of these, but they're like, in Texas, 20, 50, even more pages long, full of like words that mean a lot. And sometimes in contracts, it's like, what does those words even mean? But this is essentially a big contract that deals with your custody of your kids, all of your money, who takes the debt, and how the business works. And like, I don't know how you would know how to do that unless you're a divorce lawyer. Like, it's complicated and it's hard. And here's the thing, you gotta get it right because there's no do-overs. Once you're divorced, you get a crappy divorce decree and you mess up the way the property is distributed, you don't get to go back and like undo it. They're just gonna be like, sorry. And a judge will be like, well, you know, you didn't have counsel. What can we do? Okay, the other piece of that, getting the decree correct, that final order, the papers at the end, is if you ever want to enforce the terms of that decree, like make him pay the child support, make her give you half of the house or whatever, the terms have to be clear and specific and unambiguous and for them to be enforced by the court. And like, do you know how to write clear and specific and unambiguous terms about old tea liens and deeds and how to get the Office of the Attorney General to deduct money from a paycheck through withholding? You know how to do that? Maybe not. And if you don't, and you try to write this whole thing yourself, then when they don't pay child support, they don't give you the deed, they don't turn over the retirement account, and you go to a court and ask them to help you, the court will be like, it's not clear and specific, and I can't enforce this. So you could be setting yourself up for a big pile of nothing divorce decree if you try to do it yourself. Now, in answer to that, not doing it yourself, I suggest you try to find a legal team who can work with you to try to advance what you're trying to accomplish while keeping costs down within the budget that you can kind of come up with. That's probably your best recourse. But I just think doing a DIY divorce, unless that is your literal only option on this planet, is really not a good idea. Can small details in your divorce have big consequences? You betcha. Like real big ones. For instance, pick up and drop off time in a possession and access schedule about kids. Doesn't seem like that big of a deal, whether it's 6 or 6:30. But here's the thing, you're gonna be living with those terms for the foreseeable future of your children's lives. So if there's like a typo even in when the time is written, it could like say it normally would say 6 p.m., but somebody has a mistake and they put like 6 a.m. So for the rest of your life, you're going to be doing exchanges at 6 a.m. So that's just one small example. And when it comes to money, imagine a comma in the right place, a zero too many, the wrong account number. Like these level of details can have gigantic consequences. So that's why you've got to be really careful and work with a legal team who's sharp on those details. And look, lawyers aren't perfect, but like everybody pointing in the same direction to make sure that all the small details are like tied down, looped off with a bow to protect you, your kids, your money, and the business from really big potential consequences. To protect yourself before signing a settlement, what I want you to do, number one, is take a beat. All right? You may get a lot of pressure, whether you're at mediation, doing this informally with your ex factor, doing it through the lawyers. Some people may be pressuring you to get it done. You may be pressuring you. You're like, I want it over. I want it to stop. I've got to get done with this situation. And you do that at your peril. If you rush into something that deals with everything you care about in this world, your kids, your money, your assets, your business, everything, and you rush into it, you will regret it, I promise you. So the number one thing you can do is take a beat. Make sure it's really well considered, all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, so you know exactly what's happening, you understand it, and in that beat, you really go inside and decide whether you can live with this for the foreseeable future. Like rushing now could cost you for the rest of your life. So don't do that. Slow down, do yourself and your future self and your kids a favor and honor the enormity of what you're doing to make sure that it's something that is the best deal that you can get for you and your kids. Your future self will absolutely thank you. If you have any questions about whether you can do this divorce thing yourself or should hire a lawyer, I invite you to reach out to Hembree Bell Law and schedule a free case evaluation. Look, we're used to people talking to us about, hey, can I do this myself? Or I just don't have the money, or I'm really smart and surely I can figure it out. Like, we've got you. We can help you think it through and make the best decision for your family.